welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast. My name is Jamin Gurker. I'm your first friend in Alaska, and today I'm very lucky to be joined by a couple of my friends who moved up just a couple of years ago at this point, and they're going to be talking all about what it's like living in Alaska and what the past couple of years have been. So, Shawn and Erikka, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, real quick, where did you guys move from, and how long have you lived up here?
Yeah, so we moved up 3 years ago, this month, and we moved from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We've absolutely loved it, so it's been a complete 180 from very, very hot weather all year round to very cold weather. But it's been awesome.
Yeah, even this past year, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a little different, but yeah, other than that, it's still a lot better than having 100 degrees in the summertime.
Yeah, that is fair. So besides that, were there any other variables that kind of made you guys decide to make the move up to Alaska?
It's something that we've always talked about. I grew up in the Northwest, so it just once my family moved us to the South, it was not my ideal place to be. So ever since Shawn and I started talking, one of his first questions was, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you move? And it was Alaska, like immediate. So we've always talked about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what were some of the big concerns you guys had initially to moving up here? I mean, or were there no concerns at all about moving to Alaska?
Oh, we had all kinds of concerns. Just making a move that far, there's so many logistics. How am I going to ship my stuff up there? When is it going to get there? If I use the barge, if I drive it up, what's it like driving? I didn't do the Alcan drive, but I considered it, and so there was a whole lot of logistics with that as well. Like, what is it like to drive that? Can we do it in winter? And we didn't know anything about moving up there because we never even knew anybody who'd moved to Alaska before. So, yeah, it was stressful getting all that stuff together, but we were pretty blessed. Everything went as smooth as I think it could have.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. And so there's obviously a lot of differences in Alaska just in like the different regions. And what made you guys decide to settle in the region that you did?
My job, more so. I work for an airline, so I have to be pretty much near a big hub, and Alaska is such a cool place, I think, to do that because it's a good job to have, but then you're not in like a really busy airport like some of them down south would be. And I don't know, it's a little easier to get to work. It's not nearly as much traffic, and so if you've got to be in a hub, I think it's a pretty good one to be part of.
Yeah.
And then trying to figure out where we wanted to be near his job was a big one. So we didn't want to be in Anchorage. We like quiet. So Eagle River it's not that far of a drive, especially when you've lived in places we've lived. Mm-hmm. It's not that far of a drive to Anchorage, and we get that a lot. And it's just
what kind of a commute were you guys used to before you got here?
Shawn was used to about a 30-minute drive. I moved around a lot with my job that I had, so my commute was anywhere between 30 minutes to the furthest drive I had to make was 2 hours, a little over 2 hours one direction. So I was on the road 4 hours a day.
Oof, that's brutal.
Yeah, after a 12-hour shift and then had to drive back home.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not temporary.
No, that one lasted a long time, and then finally, probably one of the longest ones was an hour each way, which was a little better, but
I have about the same commute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for you guys, then, what was kind of the expectations of Alaska going into it, and did the expectation and reality once you actually got here, living on the ground, like did they more or less, were they accurate, or did your expectations completely get turned upside down?
I thought my expectations were pretty accurate. It was way more beautiful than I thought it was going to be. Like just stepping off the plane and looking out, and you see the range there. It's way more beautiful than I thought. But I thought some things were a little overstated, like the crime. I don't think the crime's really that bad like people talk about here. I'm sure there's isolated areas, but You go into some videos and some comment sections of people talking about Anchorage, and they make it sound like it's, it's on fire. And I didn't think that was too bad, nor the prices of goods. I don't think are near as bad as what people made it out to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you guys are, well, actually, let me ask you this. So, with the cities you were coming from, were they known for having like a high crime rate as well, or were you guys more or less used to? I know it's a loaded question, but a city with an average amount of crime.
We probably had about an average amount of crime.
I'd say so too.
Yeah, the area that we moved to in Winston-Salem had really high crime, and then right before we moved, because we were kind of trying to eyeball where we wanted to be, so we looked at the crime map, and crime started going way down once housing started developing a lot more and nicer communities started getting into place.
You tend to find it tends to be in certain areas, and you can just avoid those areas, and your chances of being involved in a crime, I think, are a lot lower when you do that.
It started to go a little backwards right before we moved. Like there was a pretty heavy crime right down the street. Somehow we slept through it. Happened in the middle of the night, but it happened the week before we moved. So.
Oh wow, that's kind of confirmation for your decision, huh?
Yeah.
A little validation there.
Absolutely.
Little sign.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, my expectations. I thought I was gonna. I didn't know how to handle the. In the summertime, the extended daylight, and in the winter, the not as much daylight. I didn't know how I was personally going to handle that one, but it's not as bad as what a lot of online people say. And then also driving up here, I was a little more timid with that. So, but it's not as bad, and I'm learning how to handle it a little bit better. So.
What? Okay. Any big early lessons with learning how to drive on the ice? Like, did you go into the ditch at any point? Like, have you crashed into anything yet? Like,
so just this year, I have put both vehicles in odd situations. I was getting ready to head to an appointment, and I took the truck because it's got 4-wheel drive, and I thought it was going to help. And I'm like, I'm not taking the car, and I made it a little ways down the road, and then did end up putting the truck in the ditch, but I was able to back it out and everything was fine. I didn't get high centered, so that was interesting. So did learn that it's easier to go reverse back up the road so than it is to try to go up the hill. So it's easier to go backwards with the truck. So I just reversed all the way home, which wasn't far. It was just 2 streets over. So I was like, okay. And then the car, I hit a berm just trying to leave, but that was during when we got all that freezing rain. So, and I told him we were supposed to meet him for snow machining, and I'll give him a call. So yeah, I just wrecked the car. I'm not coming. But it wasn't that bad. It just got a little scratches in the front bumper, but I'm like, I'm not risking it.
Right. So trucks, did you guys have like all-wheel drive, forward-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive? Like, what kind of drive do you have on the
We've got a
vehicles?
front-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive.
Gotcha.
And I usually don't have any trouble. That was just the most trouble we had was when we got a bunch of freezing rain recently. That was bad. But most of the time, getting out of the neighborhood's the hardest part. Once I get to the main road, smooth sailing all the way into town.
So we have learned that if we can just make it out of the neighborhood, the main roads are usually fine. And that was the first time I had anything like that. And driving in the snow the past couple of years has been fine, but this year the ice has been a new challenge.
Yeah, this year has just been so weird. Like, yeah, because it's January. It's like 40 degrees out there right now, and it is like melted and like frozen multiple times. Well, kind of frozen. And we had like that driving hurricane wind and rain like a couple weekends ago, which did you guys have any issues with all that rain that hit that weekend?
Our neighbors had some damage. A lot of trees went down on our street. Some people had destroyed fences, it seemed like.
We had
But,
no power.
fortunately we just lost power, and that was all.
Yeah, well, that's lucky. I had to remove, with myself and my younger brother, we've removed about 14,000 pounds of water from my sister-in-law's garage. Yeah, and I use water as a metric of measurement here because we had to like put it in like a trash can, like carry to the top of the driveway and dump it out onto the street.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was
Man.
that gets to be a lot, honestly.
Yeah, that's a workout.
It was definitely a workout.
Wow.
Yeah. But what was that first winter like for you guys?
I thought we came here in January, almost 3 years to the day. It was January 24th. And I think we were kind of at the tail end of a lot of the snow. It was a little rough because we had rented a car and it had all terrains on there. It didn't have snow tires. And so getting places I had to take a lot more time, stop a lot sooner. It was a little stressful. And I found out how much of a game changer snow tires are. Once you get snow tires, you're almost spoiled driving on the roads. You can kind of forget that the conditions aren't great.
Yeah, and then there's always that risk that like, you're used to just stopping on a dime and like people behind you totally can't.
Right.
Yeah, but getting used to that. And how plugged in did you guys get to like the activities and like the lifestyle? Like how much could you do that in your first year?
I don't think we were able to do much at all in our first year. It was mostly we got here, we were living in Airbnbs for a little while until we could get an apartment. And then my truck was a little delayed. There was something happened with the ports in Whittier at that time, and stuff was taking a little longer getting here. So by the time I finally got all of our stuff, and then we pretty much started looking at houses. I don't think we did much until that summer. I think we started hiking.
Yeah, we went on a couple hikes with some people we met from church, and
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's
true.
about it. But we were kind of limited on where we could go with the car.
It takes a while to get gear to do a lot of the outdoor stuff, but worth it once you do.
Yep. Did you guys have any favorite hikes or anything like that the first season?
Winters Creek in Girdwood, I think, was my favorite. Beautiful hike. We didn't get to make it. There's like a tram that you get to take. Not a tram. What is it? You're almost like you get on it and then there's a rope and you can pull yourself across. There's one of those there, but we didn't make it to that. But it was just beautiful winter wonderland. Creek going through a gorge.
It was beautiful.
And then the trees you get in Girdwood are beautiful as well.
Yeah, Girdwood's like one of those few places in Alaska where I'd say we've got good trees. I mean, unless you're in Southeast, but that's
Right.
But yeah, trees in South Central, not so much.
Right.
Yeah, Girdwood's about the best you can get.
And it's beautiful all year round. And in the snow and the summer, it's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for you guys, got up here kind of on the tail end of like wintertime and everything, getting all settled in. What was that first winter like for you guys? Because you kind of had the summer season more or less to settle in, and really it was like winter time when, kind of take that deep breath from getting all settled and you're actually living at this point. So what was that kind of first winter like for you guys?
I think we loved it because I've never lived anywhere where you get like a real winter like that. So for us, it was all new and we loved it. It was a little rough getting up and it's still dark. You get up at like 10 a.m. or something and it's still dark outside. That can take some getting used to. But as far as the snowfall and the cold temperatures, I think we kind of enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys are really not looking forward to like the hot weather anymore, like the first couple winters definitely delivered on its promises in Alaska for you then.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Kind of got used to that snowfall, and then this year haven't gotten much.
Yeah, we made the mistake of going back to see our families one August, and it was like, I don't think we'll ever visit the South in the dead of summer again. It was not great.
Yeah.
We were so looking forward to coming home.
Lost our tolerance for that.
Even with the AC they have down there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you go into an air conditioning building, and then some of those buildings still can't even keep up. So you're still you're sweating, just sitting in your seat waiting for food or anything, and it's uncomfortable. So at least here you can bundle up. You can add more layers.
Yeah, it's limitations how much you can do that down there. Yeah. So the winter time, how much of the dark, like it doesn't sound like for y'all like the darkness was too much of a factor. Like, is it something you had to like start changing, like any daily habits or anything around? Is it something you had to be really intentional about, or was it just kind of was what it was, and don't break your stride?
I think we sleep a lot more. Energy levels are kind of lower, but I feel like by the time it starts really getting to you, it's already on the up and up. You're already starting to get more daylight. Like now, and late January, I feel every day I could feel it getting a little longer and not so bad.
Yeah, we learned vitamin D is our friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely speak for that. Yeah, that and like the oh man, I'm not sponsored by them, but the Laystar or something like that. Like it's one of those like satellites that you can go and get. Yeah, those are great too.
Hmm.
We looked into those, the Happy Lakes.
Yeah, we might have to try one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those are great because it kind of gets that circadian rhythm all established quickly, and that I've found because it's something I really struggled with, like the first, well, really every winter I'll struggle with it, but I found that using those lights does like a really hard factory reset on like when you go to sleep. Like within like the first couple times of using it, it's like, man, I am out at like 9 p.m. and like up at 5.
Oh,
Huh.
wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we should
Might
try.
have to look at something like that. They just cut on at dawn.
Well, you have
automatically?
you have to just go get under the lights. So usually, you're reading for about 30, 40 minutes or so, well, 30 minutes or so at the most, under the light, like within the first hour or so of waking up. And then, theory is like it gets that rhythm established that you're not getting with the sun coming through the blinds and everything.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the theory. I can say for me, it feels like it's worked, but could be any number of variables. But I'd say it does.
Okay.
Yeah. What about the cold and all that during the winter times? It's something that, I mean, it sounds like you guys really enjoy it. Was there any kind of an adjustment period for y'all?
I think so. Right before we moved, we bought these massive Eddie Bauer jackets, and we were prepared to be wearing them for like the whole winter we were here. We wore them once, went on a walk, and then we've
They're
just
probably more for Fairbanks weather.
well, yeah, we wore them once in Anchorage. Someone like we'd been here for probably 2 weeks, and someone saw us in our big jackets. And they were like, "Welcome to Anchorage," and we're like, "Wow, okay."
We're not from here.
Yeah, and then
Is that obvious?
Yeah, and then we got pretty used to it. So like I wear thin sweaters pretty much all year round. So and I've adjusted pretty well.
I don't think it's too bad when it's dry outside and you don't have that humidity combined with the cold.
Oh, when you get
It's a lot more manageable.
when you get the wind, you definitely want a thicker jacket. But
Yeah, well, like the thicker jacket or maybe just like the wind resistant, like rain jacket. Like honestly, I found like the rain jackets are like ironically enough, like one of the warmest things you can wear just because it stops like the cold air from getting in even to begin with.
yes, absolutely.
The quality of winter gear has gotten so much better. I think that factors into it. You just get to go with a good brand, get good clothes to start with, and man, it's way easier.
Yeah, but I think we acclimated fairly quickly. So because once March and April hit, we were in t-shirts outside after our first couple months here. Yeah, we're just like, oh, okay, it's warm, and it was only like 50 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going into like the first summer then, what was that like for you guys? Did you have any like big bucket list items? Hey, we came up here, we were thinking about going and doing this, and now we get to go do that. Was there any of that, or is it just kind of take the day as they came along, or is there like really a plan behind what you guys were going to do?
We didn't so much have a plan. We were invited to go to a lot of different hikes and stuff by friends from our church that we met up here, and we didn't have anything like we've got to do this. We kind of came up here. We're like, let's just do everything we can when we can, and I think that first year we were kind of working on getting established because we got here, we saw the winter, we saw the summer, and we're like, yeah, this is probably where we're going to be. And so we spent a little bit more time trying to get established.
But anytime anybody invited us to go somewhere, we were on it. We're like, yes.
Yeah, we did a lot of the hikes around Anchorage because it's where we were living at the time, and like Flat Top and some of those.
A lot of suggestions, and then and some people would mention like if they couldn't go with us, they're like, oh well, if you guys have a day off together, you guys should go see this, and so that helped a lot. But we're just kind of taking everybody's suggestions and just taking it day by day.
Right. I think we ended up doing more like probably like last summer. We ended up doing more every year we're here. We get a little bit more established and get a little bit more time on our hands.
Yeah. So would you say that most people were accommodating, open to like giving you guys suggestions? Is that kind of just, would you say, like part of the culture up here, or how would you say people are about giving you stuff to go do?
People had a wealth of information. It does seem like people are way more active. As a general note, people here have a lot of outdoor hobbies, and people that have moved up here and people that have lived up here their whole lives seem to just live a lot outdoors. So yeah, they had tons of trails. We've been invited fishing. We haven't got to go fishing. We've been invited a few times, and plans have gotten out of the way.
I'm hoping to go with you next week.
Go ice fishing, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes my work schedule's a little weird. I'm working days where people are normally off, but yeah, we've been invited to do all kinds of stuff, and so.
Man, so you've not gone fishing yet, though.
Have not gone fishing. I know that's some kind of crime.
I've been begging for 3 years now.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely change this year.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have any specific type of fishing you're looking at? Like, I don't know, snagging, salmon, trout, pike, or just anything with like a wiggle in the water? Is that what you're going for? Or
probably salmon and halibut fishing would be kind of fun, I think, 'cause I do enjoy halibut. But ice fishing sounded interesting, I think.
Never done that.
Yeah.
It looks terrifying but fun at the same time.
it's like terrifying. I've never heard terrifying before. What's
You're on the ice, so and then people have like
She's
burners
still scared
and
to
stuff.
go on frozen ice.
Yeah, I am a little bit.
yeah, it's interesting because you've got like just once you drill a hole in the ice, like that's light and all the fish in the like lake are attracted to it, and so you'll just put like the bait down there and see like all the fish just
Oh, that's cool.
circling down there. So it'll be fun. I mean, if it goes off as planned.
All right.
We'll see. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think terrifying just because like you're putting a hole in the ice and so now it's got a weak spot, so my brain immediately
And
goes.
she's already been across a frozen lake on a snow machine. That didn't bother her, though.
No, it didn't. he had to ask me like 3 times. Did you realize you're on a lake? You were on a lake. I'm like, oh yeah.
It's like what's really creepy is like when you're out there like ice skating or something like that, because I went out to a Kludna, like big lake, and it was 6.5 miles long, and this is one of those rare winters where was cold enough that day and no snow, so you could skate literally from one side of the lake to the other and just glassy smooth the entire way. But you're on a lake that's really big, and the consistency for how thick the ice is not the same all the way across.
Right.
Some areas it's going to be like 6, some areas it's going to be 3 or 2. Like there's just no predicting it. And so you're out there like just skating, and the lake's in this big valley, and like you would hear cracks like in the legs, and it doesn't sound like what you would think. It sounds like some sci-fi like laser being shot off. Like it's like so unnerving. You don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
We went in. It had to have been late March. It was our first year here, so it was 3 years ago in March. We got invited to go on a hike across Portage Lake, and to go see the glacier. Now, it was definitely too warm to be doing what we were doing, but we were going across, and each step it did sound like that. I kept looking around.
Start getting a little farther. Your foot would start going farther and farther.
Yeah.
What time of year was this?
Late March of the first year that we were here, so the 2020.
Yeah.
Years, so 20,
It probably wasn't the best time to go. There were more people on there, but it was definitely pushing the edge of the season to be doing that.
There were a few people that were on cross-country skis that were stopping us, and they're just like, if you go any further, they're like, you're just going to keep going. They're like, you really need to be on skis for
Probably
this.
safer on skis.
So-
Yeah, or yeah.
Yeah, I started going in, but like my boots are decently tall, and my foot started going above my boots, and I was like, and I'm turning around.
It's just as soon as you get that slush, like it's time to go.
Yeah, I was just like,
It's spooky.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to go through. So we all, like almost all of us except for him and two of our friends, we all turned around. We're like, we'll see you guys at the truck.
it's like, yeah, I don't want to have like a new protocol named after me or some new safety rule. out
Right,
here.
you never want to be a safety rule.
And I think that following weekend they closed it to hike across it. They said not recommended.
And everything this year, I'm sure, is going to be closed for like that.
Yeah, it's again not been a great year if you're a winter sports fan. It's not been a great year.
I'm glad it was our third year, not our first year. We might have been thinking that the winters here were overhyped, but no, it's the last couple years were really cold and snowy.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you guys going into like this next season here, like what's do you have like any big activities or things that you're going to want to do this year that you haven't had a chance to do before?
We've definitely been talking about going to like Valdez and Homer, some north and south there. And I think we want to visit more of Alaska. Since we've been here, we've been traveling everywhere else but visiting what's in our own state. So it's interesting how that's working out, but definitely try to see more stuff. Just fishing, yeah. Oh, there's some more four-wheeling trails that we want to do. Camping more often than what we do. So, because we enjoy that, just haven't had the season to really do it or the days off. So.
Yeah. Do you guys have any specific places you want to go camping?
Eska Falls.
What's is that like up near Sutton? Is that where that's
Yes.
at? Okay.
Yeah, it's a great four-wheeling and hiking trail. They're like split off into two, so you can go the four-wheeling side or you can hike up it. And once you get up there, it's a beautiful waterfall and surrounded by mountains, and look like plenty of places you could set up a tent. It'd be a good time.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have been up here for a little bit at this point, and you've had the opportunity to kind of live in a bunch of different regions throughout the country. How would you say the cost of living compares in Alaska to places in the lower 48?
I would say a bit more. It's noticeable for sure. Like you go down. I think it is catching up though, because every time we go back to the south, it seems like, oh, I remember. I thought stuff was a lot cheaper. This is about what it costs in acreage, and so I don't know. I feel like it's kind of the prices are coming to meet each other, but yeah, I don't think it's too bad. Everything, there's just a few more bucks on the end of everything.
Yeah.
Gas is like a little bit more, food's a little bit more, but utilities are a lot. But in the summer, you don't really use many utilities. You're not running heat, so it kind of evens out, I think.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. I mean, I've broken down like the latest cost of living index, and I mean it was exactly that. I think it was housing, medical, and utilities. Like those were the three things that like really made living in Alaska kind of expensive. So
Okay.
like if you can control for those three things, like Alaska really starts looking a lot more affordable than what you would think, because everyone's looking at like that $12 gallon of milk they're selling in Barrow, and they like think that's the standard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we fell into, that kind of researching.
Right. There's videos that are misleading out there.
Yeah, that's how we came across your channel was, and we're like, okay, well, he's like you state where you're at, and we're like, this is the region.
Your videos seemed a lot more grounded.
Yeah, everybody else is like,
in reality.
this, yeah. I think the only thing is like right now, like walked in the grocery store the other day, I told him, I'm just like, we're making recipes. I'm like, we need eggs. And I'm like, but I'm not paying $20 for a thing of eggs. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I don't know what's going on there, but everything else
that's not an Alaska thing. I think there's some stuff rises drastically wherever you go. And
yeah, and then like in the South, like grocery shopping, there's what's the sales tax along with the rising of cost of goods. It's just it is about the same. Like there's hardly any difference between shopping here or there right now.
And then gas is a little bit more, but you don't have to drive it that far if you don't want to here, which is what's cool. Obviously, you're going to want to go out and see things, do things, but it's like I've never been closer to a Walmart and restaurants, anything like that. So, especially if you live in Anchorage, you don't really have to drive far at all to get to anything.
Yeah. And in Winston-Salem, where we lived, we were 2 streets away from Walmart and Lowe's.
By the time you fought the traffic.
yeah, you're wasting gas just sitting in traffic, waiting for lights. It's so many people. So, but once you get past all that, everything is right here.
Right.
That saves you money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, how would you guys describe the lifestyle differences in Alaska compared to anywhere else that you've lived?
Hmm.
Kind of bouncing off what you said earlier was more people are outdoorsy here, so there's a hobby for every season, and most people do
Right.
not like to stay inside.
Things
So-
are very seasonal here. Like every season comes with kind of not a drastic change, but there's so many things you need to think about. Like, oh, winter's coming. I need to get the snowblower out. I need to, check the fluids on it. We need to get everything out of the yard. We don't want to be covered in snow. Your activities change. It's time to pull out the jackets and all that. Everything's real seasonal. Change tires over. That's a big thing. I've been getting better at doing that on time because trying to get an appointment a month before it snows is nigh impossible. So very seasonal lifestyle because everywhere I've lived, summer or winter, there's not a huge change in what you're going to be doing or expecting.
Now, if you go camp, I mean, we went camping one January and living in North Carolina, and it was a little cold, but it wasn't something that you had to get your tent or sleeping bag for like negative weather.
Yeah.
It's subtle changes in season. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how would you describe the people in Alaska? Because I mean, I've seen that just kind of runs the gambit. You know what? Let's do this. Actually, I'm not going to ask for an overall generalization. I'm going to say, how would you describe the people in Anchorage, Eagle River, and we'll say the Valley? So Wasilla and Palmer.
Anchorage is interesting.
It's very eclectic.
Yes.
Eclectic group.
I keep hearing the phrase. So like I like to change stuff in the home. So if I sell anything online, so we can buy something else. Anchorage is very. I keep hearing that. Let's keep Anchorage weird. That is definitely a thing.
They say that about a lot of cities. Yeah.
Yeah, Anchorage is believable from what we've seen. Other than that, our friends that live in Anchorage is they're wonderful people.
Yeah, everybody's very nice.
In Eagle River, I don't know. Everybody kind of I've noticed they're friendly and they want to talk when the sun starts to come out. But other than that, it's kind of interesting living in a community where you hardly know your neighbors. So everybody kind of I've noticed here kind of sticks to themselves. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of interesting. In the Valley, if you want to compare Anchorage to the Valley, neither one of them like to drive. So that's been if you have a friend in Anchorage and then you move any further than Eagle River, they're like, nice to know you. It's been nice to know you, but we'll probably never see you again. Which is, I guess, coming from where we used to live, or anywhere in the South.
Yeah. Like I don't think I really know anybody in the Valley other than people I work with.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I found people up here to be very friendly and will help you out. But some people do keep more to themselves.
Yeah, like we got really close to our neighbors back in North Carolina, and then actually Pennsylvania, everywhere we've lived, even with Mom and Dad's house in South Carolina, it's everybody very, very. You get to know them pretty close.
You'll catch people out walking that'll talk sometimes. Yeah. Your neighbors. A lot of people walk neighbors.
They're not unfriendly. No, I didn't mean that. They're just you tend to stick to yourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like I remember I moved out to Wasilla, a couple of years ago, moved out there, and I was like, you know what, I think I might have just host some kind of block party or something like that. Just get to know the neighbors, and somebody was just like, oh, just be careful of that. That's going to bring out a lot of crazies when you do that. He was like, oh man, this is just instant resistance, breaking on this idea. Yeah, this would just be the MO that you would be doing if you were in.
I was talking about doing that, and I mentioned it to one of my close friends here, and they said, you don't want to do that. You're inviting riffraff. And I'm like, we don't really have a lot of riffraff in Eagle River, but I'm like, it's just the neighbors, and they're like, well, you don't.
They'll come out of nowhere when they hear you're having a party.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, this is interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Everybody kind of warns you against doing that, and you're just okay.
It's like maybe everyone's. Well, I'm gonna say most everyone is nice, but everybody assumes nobody else is. Maybe that's
that's a very good way to put it. I think that's nail on the head.
Okay, so we'll use that as the assumption moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you guys have been here for a little bit, and kind of the good thing back and talk to with people who have lived in the state for at least a couple of years at this point, I can ask you guys, what do you believe are the biggest challenges facing Alaska moving forward? So, are there any big issues or challenges for the local community, Alaska in general, that you've seen that need to be resolved?
What do you think?
I don't really think so. So I think everything's pretty as far as I can tell, everything seems to be pretty structured. So that structured well. So it's I don't think so. I'd like to have some of the stores I had in the South, but so we have to building. But so it's I don't have a lot of my favorite stores anymore. But that's about it. I would just, if I can get my Hobby Lobby back, I'd be great.
Yeah,
Or
they're talking about
Chick-fil-A's, like.
yeah.
Chick-fil-A
Send
is
'em up.
good, but I'm okay with having that just when I go back.
They were talking about revitalizing Central Park. It would be nice to have a revitalized downtown versus like what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you guys one more question here, and then we'll move on to like the final pros and cons section. So if you guys could pick any region of the state to move to, other than like South Central, like which other region do you think you would have gravitated to?
Yeah, the valley in general too. I think if I didn't have to drive an hour to get to work, living out there, I think that's probably where we would have ended up.
Talkeetna or Palmer or Outsettin, just it's so pretty. So and that's kind of our ideals. We enjoy people, but if we could have more views, it'd be
A
more.
little bit more land, a little cheaper houses out there, and yeah, I think we'd probably end up there. But I love Eagle River. We were happy here.
Yeah, it would have been nice. We were
It's a good compromise.
Yeah, and we initially wanted a little bit more land and not feel like we're right on top of each other, but with the housing. But it's definitely better than our last neighborhood. Like there was only 10 feet between
Yeah,
each
there's
house,
still a
so
little more
this is
spread
nice
out.
having
Yeah.
room.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you guys then, what would you say are the pros and cons of living in Alaska? And I mean, obviously, we're all adults here. We know that there are going to be downsides to living anywhere. And what for you would you say the downsides are here?
The downsides is if I don't have the greatest reputation with driving in the South, so learning. I don't know, just be more confident.
For the entire South. The entire South is a block, knows Erikka.
Winston-Salem anyways, but just freak accidents, just it's horrible. But anyways, here just trying to be more confident in driving and learning how to just be calm in a situation rather than panic. So so learning how to drive in this kind of weather has its own challenges. So if you're already a nervous Nelly, then it's probably not for you.
Invest in good tires.
Yeah, invest in good tires.
Something you have to think about here. Yeah. That's you could probably put that in the con category. Yeah. Price of things, even though I don't think it's as bad, it is. You would have to put that there. You would have to think about that moving up here. That wherever you're at, even though it's a lot less than some other big cities people might be moving up from. Some people, it might be cheaper up here than it is where they're at. But, availability of housing, I think, is a big one. Not really a lot of development, so I feel like you're kind of can't really be too much of a chooser when it comes to houses, even though there's plenty of nice houses out here.
Pro would be where we moved from in the South, you could see a mountain off in the distance. So big pro is you've got gorgeous views.
Oh yeah, the views are.
You drive 10 minutes and you're outside of what we consider, the city of Eagle River. You drive 10 minutes and you're already in the nature center and you're just surrounded by wilderness. It's
You've
beautiful.
got National Geographic worthy pictures wherever you look.
You're hiking
Big
just about
pro.
anywhere. There's more activities to do, even though a lot of people would put in cons that there's nothing to do out here, but there's a lot.
You have a lot less to drive to do the same things. We've got really big in the four-wheeling and snow machining lately, and in North Carolina to four-wheel, you would have to drive 2 hours to get to somewhere. And
trails.
yeah, and here there's just trails everywhere. Like hiking, even to go hiking, you'd have to generally drive pretty far to get somewhere that was mapped out and trailed out. So yeah, you've got instant access to adventure very close by. Definitely a big positive.
Other than the huge cost to start up things to do, it's pretty inexpensive once you're already.
Yeah, there's so many things to get into, and it picking the things that you want to get started in can be. Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, having so many different options.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Harry Potter when everyone's deciding like which house they're going to go into. Like you have to decide which hobby is going to be your thing
Right.
for the next year or so.
Yeah.
You can't do all of them.
Right, house of fat tire biking or the house of cross country skiing.
So true though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Well, guys, I really do appreciate you being here. Just in parting, do you guys have any, I don't know, final thoughts, advice for anyone that's thinking of making the move to Alaska?
If you're thinking about it, just jump in.
Yeah, you can always move back, right? If you don't like it.
If you don't like it, you can always move back.
Yeah.
That was another thing. A lot of people think that they're stuck once they're here, but I mean,
I would say we didn't do this, but I would say come visit first, maybe in the worst season. You're really thinking about moving up here, maybe you move up, maybe fly up in January and check things out, see what you think of that, and if you can handle that, then it might be a good fit.
you can handle us in the any other January, not
No,
this
we
one,
didn't-
but if
we
you
didn't
can,
take that advice.
if you can handle Alaska and it's in what most people
This
consider
January
the
excluded.
worst in the worst season, then you can handle it at any time of the year.
I think that's good advice. Yeah, just excluding, as like you said, this January.
Yeah,
You know?
this doesn't count.
This doesn't. This is 40 degrees and raining. This don't
Right.
count for nothing.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, guys, again, thank you very much for coming on here and kind of sharing like your insights and what it's been like being here so far. Love having you guys right down the road, and yeah, looking forward to having you guys hopefully in the statewide scavenger hunt this year. We'll talk more about that later. Everyone else, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.